Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Mark. I am a teacher and a baseball coach during the day, and I'm also a part-time eBay and Amazon reseller. Uh, Doing things just a little bit different tonight. I'm doing some work for school and just a couple other things here on my laptop, but I'm just going to do like a little fireside chat with a couple of topics I think that maybe can help you. Um, I've been back in school and for a couple of weeks now, I should say, in person, and we have to, teach, just try to project our voice through a mask, and it's worn me down. My throat's been hurting, and I don't know if you can see it in my eyes. I'm a little more tired, but I'm getting there. I'm getting used to the schedule again, and kids don't rotate. Teachers have to rotate to them, to try to limit the transitions and everything. But um, anyhow, you guys don't want to hear about all that. You want to see what it is. I want to teach you tonight, right? So. You know, two topics I have on my mind tonight. The first one is, why is it that we resell? Why do I resell? And you should ask yourself, I think that same question to really just find that true inner motivation for reselling. It can't just be about the money. The money is nice, don't get me wrong, but I really believe in separating mind from money. Part of the way that I've reached that over the years. I've been reselling for 6 years or so. Is I just kind of look back at my life and try to figure out why is it that I've went on to become a teacher and a coach, but I've always had this yearning for having my own business, and it started from when I was young, having a brother that got me into baseball cards, and I started with that, with the trading with him, trading with his friends, and he was 5 years older than me, so he had to be there to make sure his friends weren't burning me anytime we did trades or anything. And then I got to where I'd started selling them some of my cards, and I'd just love if I got like $2 or $3 and go back to the little country store that was near our house there that would get cards in every so often and buy another pack or two. And we had these dump sites near our house. I grew up in an old mining camp, an abandoned mining camp in eastern Kentucky, and our county didn't have garbage pickup for the longest time. We had to drive our garbage, or at least everybody in our community would have to drive it, completely to the other side of the county and take it to the dump ourselves. So, it's a poor area. It's a very low income area, and people weren't going to waste the gas to do that. So they would just drive up these little dirt roads not far up the mountain there to just dump in old mining sites. Like they would strip mine, where they would clear off the forest there and do the mining, and then they would reclaim it and you just sow a bunch of grass. But it was these open areas that people just got to where they would just dump their trash there. And they would also do it. It was nasty too. They would do it like beside the road, like near some of our fishing spots that we would like to go to. But we would scavenge. Like, that was the one, even though it was nasty, that was the one good thing about it. Like, looking back, is how we would go and scrap like as much aluminum and copper wiring that we could. We would gather up all the wiring. We would take knives with us and cut the cords and bring them back, build a fire at our house, us boys would, and we would burn all the rubber off the wiring, and then take all that and the aluminum to the scrap yard, and get some money. And I learned to save a little bit of that money. I remember when I was real young, 9, 10 years old, my parents, if I wanted fireworks, stuff like for 4th of July, that's how I would buy my fireworks. Was I would save my money from like scrapping, and I'd save up 15, $20 or so, and buy some fireworks. And of course I'd spend it on baseball cards too. And but we weren't only just doing that. We would scrap old bicycle parts. We would build our own bikes, construct chopper bikes where we had the big wheel in the back and the little wheel in the front. And it just really instilled this scavenging within me. And it's no wonder that later in my life that I go back to kind of doing the same thing, going out and scavenging, even though it's yard sales, garage sales, and thrift stores. And it's still it's a scavenging type nature that I think that I learned early on. And so part of my why is it takes me back. It's kind of nostalgic when I go out and treasure hunt, in a sense. It kind of takes me back, makes me feel like a kid, I guess. And so that's part of it that I try to tap into, like when I go out and I'm sourcing and searching for things. It takes me back. Um, Also, I played sports. I was a baseball player specifically, and I was very competitive. Got a college scholarship, went on and played in college, and that helped drive, my competitiveness, and doing that from a kid all the way into my adult life. That carries over to now because I compete, and I compete with myself. I don't compete with anybody else. I don't care what everybody else does. I mean, I could get on Twitter right now and talk to a couple of resellers that I know that sell and make tens of thousands of dollars a month, that by far outdo me, and I don't ever compare myself to them. I'm always comparing myself to myself. There is a competitive drive there. Reselling fuels that. Back in the early 2000s, I was a poker player. I got into playing online poker, and then converted over to playing some live poker. And some of the things I learned there with risk, when to take risk, when not to, when don't go chasing bad money, just it's poker is a game of skills, specific forms of poker when it comes to Hold'em and Omaha, and some of the ones that you see like at the World Series of Poker and their events that they do are the skill games. That's all I played. And people anymore think of poker as the home games where it's just all luck. There are some forms of it that are games of skill, and I played poker for about a decade. But poker taught me, like I said, about risk. Poker and baseball too, really. They parallel life as far as successes and failures, and when to take risk, when not to. There are a lot of life lessons built into both of those things that I think I carry over into reselling, especially with where I put my money and the kind of return I expect off of it. It so parallels poker, because I used to specifically choose games and try to choose opponents within those games where I wanted to put my money that would give me the best success in those games. And I used to grind out $300 to $500 a month playing online poker. Not huge money. I didn't play for huge money. That just wasn't me. I wasn't trying to make a career out of it or anything. But I did it recreationally, and then turned into where knew I could make a little bit of money off of it. And so I kind of treated it like how I do reselling now, although I make a lot more money reselling now than I did playing poker back then. But as far as, how I would distribute my money or spend my money then, really does mimic how I spend my money now. I try to go in with low risk, low cost, and get larger returns. So that played into it. The biggest event in my life probably was when my dad passed away suddenly in 2009 in an accident. We had had a conversation not long before he had passed. He told me, he's like, man, he's like, don't stay in the education field and be like some of these other teachers. He was like, don't go 30 to 33 years, just keep on going because you see it boosting your retirement and this and that. He's like, I know you have a ton of different interests. There are things that you'll want to do. You'll have other plans, and I'll know you'll have a plan in place up to then that will allow you to retire at 27, not to just keep hanging around just to see those the dollar sign grow on that retirement. Go on and do other things. Set yourself up beforehand. And he was like, you'll be perfectly fine. And I've taken that advice. And when I saw 6 years ago that reselling was an opportunity for me to take my money and invest it elsewhere and invest it into reselling and watch it grow and grow faster really than any other investment that I've had before, I'm living out his advice. And so that probably caps my why, that tops it off. And so But anyhow, just kind of think about why you're motivated to do what you do. Because if you answered that it's for the money, and that's most of your reasoning, um, I don't think you can last. I just don't. It gets old. And money for me is where my mind is separated from it. It's just a way that I keep score. It really is. Now, in context here, I have positioned, or I should say, me and my wife have positioned ourselves to where we don't have any debt, and the reselling helped get us to that point. So take that into consideration. And just the way I keep score, it's just that number that's driven by my competitiveness, where I go, okay, like I did last month. I said, okay, I'm gonna make $6,000 or sell 6,000 on eBay, and I'm gonna do 500 on Amazon, and I hit those goals. Don't have any goals like that for this month, because I knew I was going to be going back to teaching in person and getting used to a new schedule, and I knew I was going to be tired. But coming up for the fourth quarter and going into the holiday season, I am going to set some goals, and that drives me. Another thing I want to talk about is the education side of reselling. It is great to learn as much as possible. Whether it's you're trying to learn a new category, or you're trying to learn to sell on a new platform, or you just change your business model altogether. It's great to educate yourself, but at some point action's got to happen. And I believe, and I was discussing with a friend of mine, Brittany, who you may have seen her channel, Essential Endeavors. And I was discussing with her recently about how I'm the kind of guy that just likes to jump in and then pull the reins back. I like taking that dive. And the reason I like to do that is because I'm afraid I won't act on whatever it is that I want to do, like a new plan or a new idea. I did this with YouTube. I literally, I can't remember if it was the same day or it was the next day. I was like, I want to start a YouTube channel. And I'd already had a YouTube channel. Or I should say, I'd registered on YouTube like a year ago. I didn't actually consider like having my own channel. Me and my son had a channel together on his where we just did these little go-kart videos and video game, videos just for him, just for fun. But one day I was just like, I'm going to have a YouTube channel. And I can remember if it's the same day I put a video out or if it was the next day. I just jumped into it, because if I didn't, I know I'm the kind of person that I start reading about all the equipment. I start reading about software, and I start thinking, well, I need this, and I can't start that now because I want to do have all these things in place and then just do it the right way. And I was like, you know what? People just pick up their iPhone and start a YouTube channel. I just did that. Everything I do, I just do it on my iPhone. That's eBay and YouTube, so, but the same goes for, I see it on Twitter. People are like, well, I want to start selling on eBay, and what should I do? And people are like, oh, buy my course. And some of these courses are great. The next thing you know, you see that they're buying Toy Folio's course on how to sell toys on Amazon, or they're buying West Coast Goods online arbitrage courses or something like that. And it's just they buy these courses. They just keep going. And a month will go by and they still haven't really started selling. It'd be like, oh yeah, I put something on there last week. Like, well, how many items do you have going? And they only have like 2 items up. I believe jumping into it. I did that with eBay when I started reselling 6 years ago. It was within the first probably 2 or 3 days. I had 50 items or so up and running, and but that's just how I am. I like to jump in and I like start making mistakes and then figuring it out. It's kind of like what I'm doing with Amazon right now. I just jump in. YouTube, that's what I'm doing right now with YouTube. I just jump in, see what works, and adjust as I go. It's kind of like coaching. It's I coach baseball, and when I'm coaching a young pitcher, high school pitcher, I can give them the tools and the knowledge, the mechanics drills, and they can practice. But at some point they've got to jump into the fire and learn and then figure it out after that, and make mistakes and then go back to the drawing board and fix it. That's pulling the reins back on that. They said, whoa, I got out there and made this mistake, this mistake. This is me as a coach and them as a player. We start having these bulleted things that we know what we need to work on in practice. So, but in the sports arena, you're forced to jump in at some point. You eventually are told to get out there. Whereas when we're at home, we can think about reselling and we can prepare. But you don't have me or any other coach that's going, all right, it's time to get out there. You got to go make mistakes. Then we'll go back and figure it out. You got to just do it yourself. You got to find and just, I guess, it may come easy for some of you. Some of you may be like me, you just want to jump in. But others of you may have to learn that behavior, learn that you just got to go after it. And, now when I say this, understand I'm not talking about go after it with these huge financial risks where you're spending a lot of money, because you don't have to spend a lot of money to start reselling. Go back and watch some of my first videos. I have a playlist for the beginning eBay reseller that has a video, or the very first video is just starting with things around your house. A lot of people recommend that. That's because it works. It's low risk. It teaches you the ropes. Do that, but you just have to go after it. Back when I was in college and I'd go home for the summer, I'd work at a Honda shop as a cleanup guy, and I did this for one summer, and then the next summer I was back home working as a cleanup guy, and I really wanted to do sales. I was like, man, they're not going to let me sell. They've got these good salesmen and saleswomen, that just rock it out. But there was one day when a semi had pulled in, and we had only like 1 or 2 bikes on there. That was my job, get the bikes out and get them out of the crates and put the fenders on and things like that. But once I was finished with that, I would go in and clean up inside. But since I only had like a couple of items, I was inside doing my cleanup work quickly. And I don't remember what happened, but we had these salespeople that they had to leave. I don't know if some were sick or some just had different things to go to, but we were shorthanded, and business started picking up, and I was out there cleaning up on the floor, and I thought, well, I'm going to help out. The boss was busy, I was just like, I'm just going to help out. So I just started talking to people. I rode four-wheelers myself. I knew these bikes. I knew how to explain the performance, and I knew how to hear what it is that they're looking for and what they need, and then make a suggestion. I sold 4 that day. I made 4 sales in my first day, and needless to say, I wasn't just a cleanup guy after that. They started letting me do sales, but I just jumped in. Now I took a risk. I mean, they could have been aggravated if I didn't make any sales. They could have seen me as a problem being out there just talking to their customers and not doing my cleanup job. But I just kind of took the initiative and proved myself, and to me it was low risk, high reward, because if I don't think they would have went as far to fire me, but if they did, that's okay. I knew how to cut grass and knew how to get jobs cutting grass. I could make money doing that, or I could have sold my baseball cards. So to me, it was just kind of a low risk, high reward kind of thing. And I still kind of think like that, jump in, take that chance, but I have gauged beforehand if it was or what kind of risk it is. And eBay was one of those low risk, kind of high reward things that I saw, and I jumped into it. YouTube, same way, low risk, high reward. I mean, I've met so many wonderful people through YouTube over the last month and learned so much from watching their videos. It's crazy. So take the time to learn, but action above everything. Make mistakes. You're going to learn the best by jumping in, making mistakes, okay? Then go back and fix it, pulling those reins back that I was talking about. So just remember that. I'm going to continue to get some work done. It is getting late. I got to get some stuff ready for school here, so I'm going to call it a night. But as always, be rocking it out.